Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Drama Surgery podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be covering a drama that just started airing as of the time of this recording, titled When the Phone Rings. This is a Korean drama airing on NBC. And if you had seen my previous episode where I talk about a few dramas I'm excited for, I mentioned this drama as one of them. And I finally watched the first two episodes. I mean, there are going to be only 12 episodes in the total run, but I finally watched the first two. And I have to say that I'm actually pissed that they're not dropping all the episodes at once because it is that good. Like, this drama has brought me out of not a slump really, but like a mini slump with Korean dramas. Because I'm watching a lot of Thai dramas these days, but this drama has really brought me back and kind of reminded me why I liked Korean dramas so much, right? But yeah, before I go into that, I just want to talk a little bit about the synopsis, what this drama is about, the cast and everything. And then I'll get right into why I like this drama because I love it so much. I am so into this drama currently. I always check my drama list for comments. I check Reddit, I check Tumblr, I check everywhere looking for people's opinion about this drama. But yeah, just to start, When the Phone Rings basically follows this married couple. They are a couple that are married out of convenience. So it's an arranged marriage, and the male lead Baeksan is someone that comes from a politically charged family. So he's from a prestigious political family, and he's basically the equivalent of the White House press secretary, right? Like the person that comes on and tells you what the president is thinking and stuff like that, and just reports on news like that. So it's a very huge position. It's very elite and everything, right? And you can tell from his character that he takes himself seriously. He is none of those brooding, really serious male leads, which I really, really like. That's one of the points about this drama that I have to give them points for. But yeah, that is his character. Whereas the female lead, Ongiju, is kind of different from him. She is somebody that comes from a newspaper conglomerate or something like that, right? They own a newspaper that's really popular. And she's the daughter that ends up marrying him. And so at first glance, it just seems like a regular arranged marriage between two kind of wealthy families or prestigious families. The only thing is that there are a few things that make it odd. For example, she has mutism due to an accident when she was younger. She's a sign language interpreter. And she's kind of very different from him in terms of personality and everything. She's very quiet, she's very calm and stuff like that, kind of timid really. And so they're very, very different, and they have their life going on, and everything is fine until something changes when she's kidnapped. And so yeah, that is basically the synopsis of this drama. Just to talk about the cast real quick, Baeksan is played by Yeon Suk, who I know from dramas like Hospital Playlist, Mr. Sunshine, Dr. Romantic. So he's one of those characters I know him well in terms of I've seen a lot of his dramas, right? Reply 1994 is another one. Good Family Book is another one. So he's been in a lot of things I've seen, and so he's one of those faces I just know very well, right? And he has good dramas. He's able to choose good dramas, right? And so yeah, that is the male lead. Whereas the female lead, Ongiju, is played by Chesubin. Again, I know her as well. She's pretty well known to me. She was in Strongest Delivery Man, I'm Not a Robot, Where the Stars Land, and A Piece of Your Mind. For all our dramas, if I have to say, if I had to choose the one that I really know her and really like her drama, I would say A Piece of Your Mind, because that's just the one drama that I kind of, it's not that I loved it, but that's kind of the drama I really like of hers, right? In terms of her filmography. But yeah, that's the female lead. We also have Onamjun, who is playing Ji Jong-woo, who is the second male lead. There just has to be that green flag second male lead. And I know him most from Matchmakers. He was also obviously in Sweet Home Season 3, and I think he was also in The Impossible Heir, but I can't be too sure about that one. But anyways, I recognize him because he's getting more popular. Oh, by the way, he was also in Your Honor. It's just I've not watched Your Honor, but I know he's in that, and I'm going to check that out later at some point. But yeah, he's one of those faces that he just came up recently, I would say, even though he's not particularly young, but he's one of those new faces that I really, really like, right? But yeah, finally, in the cast, Jangiri plays Nayuri. It's weird because she's one of those faces that I know where I've seen her. She looks familiar, but I don't know where I've seen her. Like, looking at her filmography, I'm like, I don't really know any of these dramas. I'm not watching any of these dramas, but she looks familiar. Like, But anyways, that is the main cast. There are obviously a lot of popular like character actresses that are like supporting, here. But I'm just gonna focus on the 4 leads. And really just the 2 leads because they are it. Like, this is what this drama is about. These 2 like leads, they are so good. And yeah, I'll just get right into it. What makes this drama awesome? Even though I've only watched the 2 episodes I've aired. Like, there's literally 10 episodes to go and I'm already this excited. But I have to say, just like, I'm one of those people that like, you probably heard me say I don't like reading synopsis of dramas generally before I watch it, right? So even when I was like checking out all these dramas and doing my review last week about these dramas, including this one, I hated the fact that I had to like talk about the synopsis and stuff like that because I always like to go in blind, right? And so to an extent, when I was watching this, I already felt that like I knew what this story was going to be about. And that's like, for some reason, like, the magic loses me in that sense, right? I no longer have that expectation because I kind of know what's going to happen, and so it's not as thrilling for me, right? And so that's what I thought when I was watching the first episodes. I thought that honestly it's going to go this way. It's going to be Margin of Convenience. It's going to be kind of a thriller mystery maybe, but I was not expecting, right? Nothing could prepare me for the level of tension and just like sexual tension between the leads, right? Just the, like, I don't know, the sizzling air between the leads. It's so good, like, to the extent where it reminds me of like why I like Korean dramas in the first place, right? Because it's like reminiscent of a lot of old Korean dramas, like a lot of cliche, like just cheesy Korean dramas. And this is, oh my god, who knew I was a sucker for like a husband that was like in love with his wife? Like, that is basically the premise of this show, right? Like, the male lead is somebody that is so serious, is so like, cutthroat, like people are scared of him and everything, but like he loses his mind when it comes to his wife, and that is just it's beautiful to see. Like, everybody has been saying it and I agree, this is just Wattpad coded. Like, if you've ever been on Wattpad, I was an early Wattpad user, like back in like, gosh, it had to be like 2000 and like, god, when did Wattpad come out? Wattpad is such an old this thing now when I think about it, but like this was back in maybe 2007 or something. Like, I was like, back then Wattpad was so different. Like, you could copy and paste from Wattpad back then, I recall. But yeah, I know if there's one thing about Wattpad, this is like how Wattpad, a lot of the stories go with like married couples. They just have those like protective, those like, macho men that like, are in love with their wife, but like they won't say. They're like, kind of cold as well, but they're also like really obsessed. And that is what this drama is basically about, because like as things get revealed, you just realize how much he loves her, right? At first it doesn't seem like it, right? The only maybe hint we get is that he always wears his ring, and that's, obviously because he's trying to like put on a front for people that he's married and everything, and that's part of like this world. They like people like that to be married, and so it makes sense, right, in that sense. But then as time goes on, as things happen, you start to realize he's actually really like into his wife. The scene that did it for me, you should have seen me. I was on my bed watching this on my phone, and the scene that like really like stuck to me, because again, we later find out that like Ongiju is not really like mute. I think she's mute, but she's like also able to talk in some scenarios, right? Which is where like I guess the selective mutism comes in. And so at the end of episode 1, where she has the phone, how she gets the phone. We can talk about that later, but like she gets the phone and she's basically like blackmailing or like talking up her husband as a kidnapper and everything, right? And she's telling him all the things that she did to Ongiju, because obviously she's the kidnapper, quote unquote, right? And you like hear a sound, right? And she flinches, and you just see he pans to him, and you punch the wall, and his hand is bleeding. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is exactly what I want. Like, you guys don't understand. It was very cheesy, him punching the wall and everything, but like just seeing something like that lose control, given the fact that we've not seen that this whole time, it's just like, it's breathtaking. I love it so much, and I was dying in that. I started screaming. If you was seeing me, I was screaming like. The whole house was probably like, what is wrong with this girl? But honestly, that is like the best. Like, I just love leads like that like, well put together, look good in a suit, like they don't care about anyone, they take their job seriously, everything, and they just lose it over their partner. It's just, it's so good. And you think it ends there, right? You think, okay, yeah, so maybe he spent enough time with her. He considers her one of his people, like he says that. And so maybe that's why he's kind of pissed about that, right? But then you get to episode 2, especially at the epilogue, where you find out that he basically arranged for their marriage to happen. I like, because you guys don't understand. I like lost my mind. Like, you guys understand. Like, just having somebody be like secretly obsessed with their wife. Winnie was like a thing that I liked. Like, this is so reminiscent to an extent of like Marrying My Husband and Perfect Marriage Revenge, of these people that are just like in love with the female lead, and the female lead has no clue. And it's just, there's something about it that's like, I love it so much. And it's just giving tension. I have to say, Yoon Suk and Chesubin have such good chemistry. Like, the tension that they be displaying in just this 2 episodes, right? The scene where he lifts her up and puts her on the table. Guys. Like, and he like grabs her skirt. Like, I was dying. Like, I was literally losing my mind. Like, they have such good chemistry that it's ridiculous, right? I just, it's so good. Like, I feel like this drama might go down as my favorite. But we'll see. Like, The Trunk is also coming out like this week, and The Trunk is another drama that is similar to this, in that like I think they're a married couple. So like I feel like couples that are coupling up at the end of this like year for some reason, and I love to see it. But yeah, honestly, it's just so good. I am in this like moment with all these dramas. Like, they are just like giving, honestly, and I just love it so much. One thing I will say is that there are a lot of like issues in like, not inconsistencies, but like things that people have mentioned that kind of makes no sense, given that he loves her this much, or at least the general idea that like I feel like he loves her this much. That's my delusion talking. And people are like, there are some things he does that actually doesn't make any sense if he does love her. For example, he doesn't like know sign language. I think he does to an extent, and he just pretends not to, right? Although I will say that to an extent, his character and how he acts, a lot of it stems from the fact that I think he feels that he forced her to get married, right? Because again, she was going to marry someone worse, right? And so he basically saved her by marrying her, right? Even though he calls it like his hostage situation, is not really. This is something he wanted, and I think to an extent he feels guilty that he's basically like pulling her into a relationship that he thinks she doesn't want, right? And so the same way she's like trying to like romance him and like cook him food and everything, obviously he likes it, but I think to him he feels that like she's having to force herself to do those things, and that's why he says that like all this is not necessary, right? Just live your life. Because I think to him, or for him, he just wants her to have like a safe space, to have a place where she's good, and she can do whatever she wants, she can work if she wants and stuff like that. So he never like tries to like stop her from doing anything, and he's almost like in a live and let live kind of situation, right? And I think that's the sense, like he's happy to be married to her, and that's good enough for him, I think, right? And so yeah, that's something I will say, that yeah, he seems like he doesn't know sign language, but I think that to an extent he might, right? But yeah, we'll see. It's just so interesting because they clearly both have feelings for one another. Like, Kangiju obviously likes him, because otherwise why would you be using his videos to train yourself, that's like sign that like obviously she really likes him, and she wants out of this because that old kidnapper scenario really broke her heart, right? Because obviously in a like perspective, or from a perspective, it doesn't seem like he cared. Like he basically told the kidnapper, let me know when you have a corpse, right? That's like the worst thing someone can say as your partner. So I get it from a point of view that she thinks he doesn't like her, and that is what is driving her actions, right? She wants a divorce because of that. She can't get it obviously because he's definitely not gonna let her go, but she's gonna try. And honestly, I am so excited for how this will play out. One thing I will say about the kidnapping whole scenario is did anybody else find it funny how the kidnapper kept calling her Oni? Like, isn't that weird? He should have called her Nuna because he's a guy, right? But like, he kept calling her Oni, which I felt was just odd. Like, and I feel like that is a sign. You know how there's that like concept in like literary narrative that like when something is mentioned, it's for a reason and it will come up later in the story. I feel like the fact that he calls her Oni is something that we should pay attention to because it doesn't make any sense. But honestly, I have to say, Beksaon and Ongiju, they gave that kidnapper a run for his money. That guy was like, he was done with them very quickly because they were both not responding the way he thought they would. Like, it was actually really hilarious. And so yeah, I don't now know if at the end of like episode 2 where the bomb happens, whether that's like real or is something that Beck someone is like faking. Like, I don't know. I mean, I saw it on TV, like she watched it on the TV, so they're obviously broadcasting that as news, so it has to be real. But to an extent, I'm just like, that's interesting. But yeah, obviously that whole kidnapper thing is still gonna come up again, which is kind of why Ongiji is actually kind of wild for what she's doing because her life is in danger. You're in danger, girl. And she's still having time to use the phone of the kidnapper to blackmail her husband and threaten him and all this like lovely things, right? And she's also taking pictures on that phone. And I'm like, shouldn't you like be careful given like the phone is not yours? That is a phone that like obviously whoever like owns it could hack into it. If they can hack into your car, I feel like they can hack into that phone. But obviously it's just not a plot point. I know when something is a plot point that will come up later. The fact that she's taking pictures on that phone is not a plot point, which is not gonna come up later. Like, our pictures are not gonna get exposed. Nothing's gonna happen, right? I just know when something is something that will come up later. And I don't think that's a plot direction they are going with, right? Or else it makes like, because like it makes no sense that she's just taking pictures on that phone. But yeah, I just cheesy, just beautiful. That's just like, sexy goodness. That's what this is. This is just so good. Like, I feel like I could go on and on, but I really should stop here. Like, I will stop here. And if you're not watching this, I honestly I don't know what you're watching. You should stop and watch this if this is your kind of a drama. And I really hope this drama does well because I do love a drama like this. I just something about a married couple that just like it's like I like it so much. Like a couple that's literally figuring out their relationship after they're married. Because I feel like Korean dramas like to do the whole before marriage and then they end as they are getting married, right? And so you never see the relationship after the marriage happens. Maybe it's the theory that like marriage is where love goes to die kind of thing. But that's why I like shows like this, right? It kind of gives you an inkling into like the life after marriage, and it kind of bonds them together in a way that like even though there's a second male lead, you just know nothing's gonna happen with him because it's just not that kind of drama, right? There's no chance. But yeah, anyways, that's all I have to say in this episode. If you're not watching this, like I said, check it out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. This week in the US, it's Thanksgiving. So if you're in the US, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely rest of the week. Yeah, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.